Hi Richa, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good too. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Pleasure's mine.
So, today there's a topic that I really want to talk on, and I think our listeners will be very much also be interested to talk on the same topic.
Sure.
It's on communication in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
How important communication is in any relationship.
That's a very important and good question. I feel that communication is the key to the door of understanding. If you really want to understand people and you want to understand yourself, communication is the only way forward. Because God, we are humans. We are bestowed with a tongue which we should use to talk, and of course it has other uses as well. But speaking and talking our feelings and emotions becomes a very important aspect of building relationships around us, and hence communication is also the bridge between confusion and clarity, and that's how important it is. Because if I'm only don't have clarity about what I want to say and I want to get out of confusion, then communication is the answer to be able to talk and express your emotions. So it is one of the most important factors of healthy relationships.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. But sometimes I've seen, in fact, it happens with me. There are a lot of times when we have to talk about something, but we're not able to communicate clearly. So, what are the effective ways? How can we communicate clearly? How can we put our thoughts ahead?
Like I said, the communication starts with you. The more clarity you have in your thoughts about what you want to communicate and how you want to communicate and what message you want to put across, the better you'll be able to communicate. So clarity of thought process is very important. Then the kind of communication you use, in the sense, is it verbal, is it non-verbal, or what are your gestures, how is your body language, what is your tone, what are the words that you're using. All this is very important for us to put the message across. Hence, it is an important aspect to learn first about yourself and then use it ahead.
You just right now said that communication is the bridge. A lot of many times there are misunderstandings in a relationship, or between a couple, or even after marriage, if throughout. There are a lot of misunderstandings, or we tend to assume a lot in a relationship. How can we clarify, or how can this be addressed with the help of communication?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Communication can be wrong. It can go horribly wrong in any relationship. So clarification after communication is an equal important aspect. Not only that, when somebody is communicating to you, are you listening properly also plays a huge role. It's not only what you're saying. Are you listening also to the other party also plays an important role. So mostly the fights or the confusion or misunderstandings usually come when the person who's talking is not using the right words, or is not using the right tone, body language, or it doesn't have the clarity how they have to express their feelings and emotions. And also could be from the other part as well, because see, communication is a two-way process. If I'm communicating to you right now and you're not ready to listen, the communication will be cut there and then. However, if I'm communicating and you're listening, but you're listening it all negative and you're not getting the message through, even then the communication gets hampered. So it's a two-way process. It is very important that you again have clarity of what you want to share, how you want to talk about it. And also, once you have communicated your point, your feelings or your emotions, it's good to clarify from the person and say, did you understand what I meant? And could you just, repeat or say what have you understood about it? So that you're pretty sure about what I have shared, the right message has gone through. That's very important.
I understand.
Because we cannot make sure what I'm trying to share, it's straight away going to that person in the same manner. Because we come from various walks of life, we have our own conditioning. Not necessarily what I'm trying to communicate is going in just the right manner to the other party. So it's always good to confirm once again that what I shared, have you understood it well or not?
So when couples have different time zones, how can they communicate then when it is comfortable, or it works for both of them actually?
You mean when the couples are in different time zones and they're dating each other, how do they communicate better? So I agree, it can be a challenge. It's not that easy for couples who are staying in the same city. However, communication again plays a huge role when it's a distant relationship. It can actually make the relationship or break the relationship, because now you're not physically present in each other's life. So, number one important ingredient for a distant relationship is having patience. You need to have patience with each other, because if you're not able to reach out to each other when you actually need, you need to have that understanding and time to make sure that we wait and have patience to reconnect with each other. So that's a very important ingredient. Second ingredient, which is very important for distant relationship, is to have faith and trust. When you build that faith and trust in your partner, it becomes easier for you to have patience, and it becomes easier for you to communicate and express your feelings when actually needed. So both these things are very important. So if you want to exercise, expressing your feelings and emotions to your partner who is in a distant city or a place, it's best to fix a time which is convenient to your partner and convenient to you, and make sure when you're talking and when you're communicating, it's not something which is irrelevant or it's not to the point, because now that the couple would be having constraint of time. It's good to be to the point so that the message goes across. I don't mean to make it as a work, call or something. However, they both have to understand that they need to have that understanding between the two of them, that lack of time will lead to lack of communication. So being very precise and to the point is always going to help. And Prabhu, the communication ways can be different as well. Sometimes you are not able to reach out to your partner at the time you would want to. At that point of time, doing other gestures like sending a message, sending flowers, or getting a meal delivered. There are various ways of communicating how you're feeling.
Just showing the presence.
Exactly. So, there are various ways to find out to make the other person feel special and happier. But patience and understanding is a very important aspect.
What if in a relationship, one person wants to communicate more, but that person doesn't want to sound needy or maybe put pressure or guilt on the other person? Then how can this be managed?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have extrovertish people who like to express a lot. Every feeling, every emotion has to be expressed, have to be talked about. And then we have introvertish people who don't like expressing and sharing their emotions. In fact, they don't know how to share and express. So it can be a big challenge. I understand it. However, we've seen fantastic relationships between introverts and extroverts. There's work to be done. It's not necessary that two extroverts can have a fabulous relationship just because they can express. Sometimes oversharing, over-expressing can dampen the whole essence of the talk. And yes, you're absolutely right. Then two extroverts who like to overshare and overexpress their feelings can also have horrible relationship. Why? Because then there is no boundary at all. You're oversharing and overexpressing, and that can lead to more confusion. That can lead to misunderstandings as well. But when it's a partner who likes, suppose one partner is wanting to share and their feelings and emotions, and the other party is not ready to share or doesn't even know how to share, then you will be knowing about it, that my partner does not know how to respond to certain things. Then sharing has to be within boundaries. You have to share when the message is put across in the right way, and oversharing doesn't overwhelm your partner a lot. Because if you're oversharing and the other partner is not ready or doesn't even how to comprehend what you're sharing, then this can lead to disconnection. And in relationships, connection is what is needed when you're communicating, right? So oversharing actually never works. I always recommend my clients as well that be precise and be clear about what you want to share, rather than oversharing, or let's say before commitment, opening your cards much before when they're needed. It always backfires.
The person wants to just hear the point. कि क्या हुआ? अच्छा ये हुआ. उससे पहले start आज सुबह ऐसा हुआ, उससे पहले ये हुआ, इसलिए ये बोलो. जब तक वो main point पे आओगे, we will just end up losing interest.
Correct.
So that is where there's a disconnection. Right? When we feel disconnected, there's a high probability that a person might feel disconnected in a relationship. How can the feeling of disconnection be brought up in a relationship without, again, feeling needy or maybe feeling guilty about it? How can that feeling be brought up in a relationship?
Disconnection can happen at any stage of a relationship. It can happen early on, it can happen while the going is good, it can happen many months or years later also. There's always a reason of disconnect. So instead of worrying about why are we disconnected, your worry should be what has led to this disconnection. Sometimes people really get worried. Oh my God, I am not feeling that connect or the bond with my partner. Maybe I'm not good, or maybe I'm the culprit, or your self-doubt creeps in, and you start creating stories in your mind as in what is going on with my partner, or you start blaming your partner or start finding faults in your partner just because of the disconnect. The fact is, disconnect is not because of one party ever. It's always from both the sides. So you need to understand where is the disconnect coming from and why this has happened. So pondering over the issues that you both are going through will help you to understand that how do we need to build the connection again. So again, communication will play a huge role. You need to talk to your partner, get to the bottom of the issue, what's bothering, why are we disconnected, why are we not able to, share what we are going through, where is the problem lying. Again, questioning and having patience to understand will be the key here. Don't blame, don't criticize, but put your point across to understand your partner first to feel that connect again.
Totally agreed. Yes, I agree. This happened a lot, and then we start questioning ourselves. Where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Earlier we used to be so good. This used to happen so nicely. Now where's the spark? So how can we connect again?
Good. So, like I said, when there is a disconnect and you've understood about it, rather than blaming and criticizing and sharing that because of you, I'm feeling this way. Why are you being rude? Why are you being, not available to talk and all? Express how you are feeling by using I statements, as in, I'm feeling disconnected with you. What do you think could be the reason? Or I'm unhappy. I'm feeling unheard. I'm not in the correct frame of mind to discuss about the topic we discussed last time. Can we re-talk about it right now? So rather than blaming, criticizing, and doubting your partner, it's always good to come on I statements, like I said. And that helps your partner to understand you better and your state of mind. And it doesn't lead to further fights or disagreements. It leads to more talking and communication to sort out the problem.
Clarify a lot.
Correct.
So there are little misunderstandings in every relationship. But what we do is we just let it slide, and then later we know that they have become one big problem. So how can we address those little misunderstandings in our relationship?
बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है. बिकॉज कभी भी रिलेशनशिप में प्रॉब्लम एक दिन नहीं होती, एक प्रॉब्लम की वजह से नहीं होती है. देर आर minute problems which lead to one big fight, and if those minute problems are ignored, उनको importance नहीं दी जाए in the beginning of the relationship, it can become the big elephant in the room. So छोटी छोटी misunderstandings को address करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, और ये उस पर depend करता है जिसको misunderstanding है. अगर मुझे misunderstanding है और मुझे किसी बात पे बुरा लग रहा है, तो it becomes my prerogative to ask you that I'm feeling bad about it. Did you say this? Did you mean that? If I don't clarify it and I'm already presuming that my partner meant this or said this for a purpose like that, then it's my fault. Because like I said, you cannot read anybody's mind. अगर छोटी मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग लग रही है कि मुझे ऐसे क्यों बोला गया, मुझसे ऐसे बात क्यों की गई, ये वर्ड क्यों यूज़ किया गया, तो ये इट बिकम्स माई ड्यूटी टू क्लैरिफाई इट दैट व्हाट वाज द रीज़न बिहाइंड इट, रादर देन स्लीपिंग ओवर इट, ignoring it and not addressing the problem. When we do not bother to ask the question और अपनी मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग की तह तक नहीं जाते, वो ही पुटिंग अंडर द डस्ट होता है, डस्ट अंडर द कार्पेट होता है, विच मीन्स दैट यू आर piling up your problems and you're making sure that it will be a bomb blast one day. So छोटी छोटी issues को मैं नहीं कहती कि बड़ा बना दीजिए, don't make a mountain out of a mole, but a casual talk and a reconfirmation with your partner to say that I don't want to make it big in my heart. Let me clarify. Did you mean it this way? What was your meaning of, displeasure from you? So address it there and then. Again, before addressing, you have to have that clarity, whether it is important to discuss it or not. It might not be very important for your partner, but if it's something that's bothering my head, I better get clarity on that.
If the partner is overthinking about the problem and the other partner is not ready to address it, then how can we overcome the problem?
Great question. This can happen with the guy or with the girl, right? A lot depends on your state of mind. Then it's important for the person who has a problem to first ask, out of due respect and time, that are you ready to address a problem that I want to share right now? When you do that, you make the other person accountable. If they say yes, what is it? Tell me what do you want to talk about? Now you're making the person accountable to hear you, that you're going to address a problem. First thing first. If the person is mentally not prepared, because of work or any kind of exhaustion, they would say, yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now. We'll talk about this later. Do not let it pass and say, sure, but tell me when is a good time. Then you fix up a time and date. It could be tomorrow or day after, whenever the person is ready. But you make sure you get back to that person during that time. Again, you're making that person accountable to lend you the ear, to hear you out, to be present at that time and resolve the issue. So it's not necessary that when you actually want to talk, the other person has to be ready. That kind of empathy and understanding you have to have towards your partner. It's very important.
Again, something that you said about patience, this is where the patience comes in play.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And right timing also, Prabhur. There's always right time to talk and discuss things. If a person doesn't have the sensibility to talk and discuss about things at the right time, then even a small issue can become big. And also you have to see the state of mind. Suppose I'm overworked and my partner is aware of it, that probably I've come from work, I've had a bad day, or I've had a challenging time at home, and my partner is still wanting to address a problem which he's facing with me, not the right time. So timing is a very important aspect as well to resolve any issue.
So there's one thing that I've observed, that after a certain while in a relationship, couples do tend to take each other for granted. So how do you cater to that?
Yeah, that's a very big issue. When you get into a relationship, being taken for granted becomes one of the biggest sore points for any partner. It's not a happy situation to take your partners for granted, but अगर आपको ऐसी फीलिंग आ रही है कि मुझसे पूछा नहीं जा रहा या मेरी चॉइसेस के बारे में परवाह नहीं की जा रही, तो उसको चुप करके सहन करने की बजाय आप उसके बारे में बात करिए. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि कोई जानबूझ के आपकी परवाह ना कर रहा हो सकता है उन्हें ध्यान ना रह रहा हो सकता है उन्हें समझ ना आ रही हो कि you will also have an opinion on it. So once or twice, if you have to remind the person that I would like you to ask me before assuming that this is my, way forward, then it's fine. But if the person is moving in a pattern that they are, in spite of you reminding them, in spite of you telling them that I would appreciate if you ask me before taking any decision on our behalf or on my behalf, then you have a point to raise it. In the sense, then you have a point to tell the person that I have my own mind and my own choices. I'll appreciate if you ask me before giving any commitment on my behalf. That has to happen once it becomes a pattern. So don't assume that if your partner has once taken a stand for you, that is their pattern. Clarify it and let them know that you don't appreciate it, that you should be taken for granted on issues that matter to you. कभी कभी अक्सर हम एक ऐसा स्टैंड भी ले लेते हैं सोच के कि ये मेरे पार्टनर को बुरा नहीं लगेगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, किसी फ्रेंड का कॉल आया, उन्होंने बोला आज शाम को मिलना है और आप अपने पार्टनर की तरफ से बोलते हो कि हाँ हम लोग आ जाएंगे. बट वो डिपेंड करता है कि उस पार्टनर और उस फ्रेंड का रैपो कैसे है. तो आपको बुरा नहीं लगेगा, आपको हाँ चलो लेट्स मेक अ प्लान. बट अगर वही प्रॉब्लम उस पार्टनर और उस फ्रेंड में है तो दैट विल बिकम अ बोन ऑफ कंटेंशन. व्हाई डिड यू नॉट आस्क मी बिफोर कमिटिंग. ये हम अक्सर रिलेशनशिप्स में देखते हैं. सो अ लॉट डिपेंड्स अगेन व्हाट इज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग विद योर पार्टनर. हाउ वेल डू यू अंडरस्टैंड योर पार्टनर बिफोर मेकिंग एनी कमिटमेंट.
So what communication habits should a couple build in order to protect their own relationship?
That's a very valid question. When I say habits, it again starts with how well do you know your partner. However, respect is a very important part in communication. Never cross the boundary of disrespect with your partner at any stage of relationship. And when you want to, make commitments for each other so that things don't go wrong, it's always important to take consent of your partner. So to protect your relationship from, going on the negative road, in the negative zone, it's important to talk and take consent of your partner. Ask questions which are relevant to that situation to get more clarity. As in, for example, you feel that, there is a communication gap between us. It's good to sit down, make time, and find time to talk about it and say that, I'm feeling that we are getting derailed where communication is concerned. We're having more misunderstandings. We are taking each other for granted. There are communication style that is changing. You're becoming rude to me, or you're stonewalling me, or you're, ignoring me nowadays. All these negative aspects of communication have to be addressed. And again, it depends how you are addressing them. If you're making it a big deal of criticizing and blaming, those addresses will take to next level and it'll become an issue. The idea is to able to put the point across and let your partner know how you're feeling rather than blaming. Like, you never understand what I'm trying to say. You never ask me before you to take a decision. I feel that you're never bothered about how I'm feeling. These are all blaming questions. Rather than that, you start addressing the issue and give the information as in, I feel that I'm not being heard nowadays. I feel that you're not understanding my viewpoint. I'll appreciate it if we take out some time to discuss about it. I'm feeling overwhelmed with the kind of fights we are having nowadays. Let's sit down and, get to the bottom of the problem. Rather than blaming and criticizing, it's always good to come to the problem by passing on information rather than criticism.
What if the couple feels that, their bond is shaken? How can the couple reconnect then?
किसी भी स्टेज पे ये पॉसिबल हो सकता है. तो रिकनेक्ट करने के बहुत से तरीके हैं. Can be physical way of reconnecting. Very important to know your partner's love language. Start speaking each other's love language to have that reconnection with each other. Specifically when things are going down south, when things are not working out fine, I highly recommend my clients to start speaking each other's love language and fluently speak to it. ये नहीं कि आज मैंने कर ली, कल कर लिया और खत्म. Then it has to be a continuous effort till the bond is created. Yeah. Thirdly, when you know that there was no time or there are larger misunderstandings or issues to be discussed, problems that you would like to talk about, I always ask them to curate date nights with each other. And again, when there is unhappiness, Prabnoor, then the issue also becomes, why should I create it? The other partner should create it. So the only way out is that 1 week you take it, the other week the other partner takes it, and then it becomes not an ego issue. Those date nights should be a platform for you to talk about your feelings, to be able to express your emotions, negative as well as positive. The only idea is to put the information out there. The only key to remember at that point of time is what words are you using. And you're not blaming and criticizing. The idea is only to put the information across. That should be the only thing to remember. So date nights play a beautiful role. It could be a coffee meet, it could be lunch, it could be dinner. Even, surprise date nights do wonders for couples. So date nights play a beautiful role. Another way to reconnect is to have good, healthy physical connect. Have good sex life. That builds bond immediately. You tend to forget the negatives and you physically connect and things start getting better. Intimacy plays a huge role. Small gestures also, Prabnoor, play a huge role, as in sending cute love notes to each other, sending, like I recommended a client that, writing I love you in your lunchbox, right? Or sending flowers to your partner. Out of the blue, sending, cute gifts to your partner if gifting is their love language. So there are various ways to reconnect and rekindle the bond. Intention हो तो कुछ भी possible है. और अगर आपकी intention pure है to reconnect, तो आपको automatically ideas आ जाएंगे. Otherwise, बाकी ideas के लिए हम बैठे हैं.
So how can we create and communicate our boundaries with our loved ones?
That's a brilliant question, Prabnoor, because boundaries is something I really, insist on people to have. Boundaries can make us live a very happy and a content life to a certain extent. To have boundaries, we need to have clarity. Why do we need boundaries? And what kind of boundaries do we need? So that clarity can be given with a proper coaching session. Once you have clarity that you have to, communicate your boundaries, how do you communicate those boundaries becomes an important aspect. Communication to boundaries starts with you knowing exactly how you want to talk to that person. For example, you go in a restaurant, okay, and you ask for a menu card. and the waiter comes and throws the menu card on your face. You'll be like, excuse me, this is not how I want to be treated, and I don't want you to behave like this with me. You don't even know the waiter's name. He doesn't know who the client is, but within few seconds you have created a boundary for that person that he cannot treat you like that. So creating boundaries is only by raising voice, by telling the person how you want to be treated, how you want to be addressed, how you want to be behaved with. So creating boundaries only starts with you. The more I understand about myself, how I want to be spoken to, how I want to be treated, how I want to be accepted, the more clarity I'll be able to give it to the other party.
Exactly. Also being assertive. What you want, what you don't want, saying firmly.
Correct. So boundaries have to be assertive and firm. Only when you know your boundaries, you have to stick to them. You cannot have fluid boundaries that आज हाँ है चलो आज चलेगा और कल नहीं चलेगा नहीं आज मुझे पसंद नहीं आ रहा. Then you have to have clear-cut boundaries and you have to be assertive about it and be strong on that aspect.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming over and for giving this insightful talk on communication. I think it was really, really great to have you over. How did you like it?
I loved it. Thank you very much for choosing this topic because it's one of the very important topics for a happy, healthy relationship.
Right. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.